Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar where we will show you how to reduce your customer churn rate and maximize customer revenue. I would like to take a minute to do a few introductions. Today, you have 3 people from SugarCRM hosting this webinar. First, I'd like to introduce Christian Vetra, General Manager of Market and Sell, as well as Dennis Smith, VP of Sales Mid-Market. And my name is Sarah Friedlander Garcia, and I am the Director of Content Marketing at SugarCRM. So let's take a quick look at our agenda. First, we will dive into Sugar's CRM and Sales Impact Report, where we commissioned a survey of 1,000 sales leaders and decision makers about their CRM, and we will discuss some of the findings. And next up, we will discuss customer churn, which is the percentage of customers that have stopped using your company's product or service during a certain time frame. And from there, we'll identify 3 ways to help manage churn that you can apply directly to your business to maximize customer revenue. And of course, at the end, we will open it up for Q&A. So at this point, I would like to turn it over to Dennis, who will take us through the state of CRM.
Thank you, Sarah. It's kind of a large topic, right? State of CRM. I think we all well know that CRM is big business. It's estimated that $35 billion is spent annually on CRM software and technology. And it's really the number one place, really the foundational technology where customer engagement is taking place. So most, if not all, companies out there are looking for different ways that they can help themselves, help their customer base, and really keep the stickiness of their existing customers as well as attract new. And what's interesting, as we went out and spoke to these 1,000 people across the broad landscape, 52% of them said that the CRM system was causing them revenue as opposed to helping them gain. Additionally, 50% said that they could not access customer data effectively. So when you think about the spend money that people are throwing at to try to solve this particular solution, we're not getting any particular return on that investment. And over 30% of the people we spoke to reported they have incomplete, out of date, or inaccurate data on their customer base. So the ability to throw money at the solution is not really the answer. We have to look deeper into that, to look at individual use cases, integrations, allowing things to help you work as opposed to just spending money to say you have a solution in place.
So next, we're going to talk a little bit more detail. I'm going to talk about churn. And a lot of companies, have a business model where you really depend on keeping your customers for a long period of time, for many years, in order to get value for the investments that it costs you to acquire the customer in the first place. And when we speak about churn, usually that's it's a term for when we lose a customer. So if we have, say, for instance, a recurring contract for revenue, and somebody does not renew, that's often referred to as churn. What we're going to try to show is some tools on how we could possibly understand risk of churn, because a lot of our survey respondents, they've seen an increase in the rate of churn. So that's something people are concerned about, and we want to be able to be a solution to. Folks are saying that they're seeing the increased rates of churn. It's costing them real money. And they're also having a hard time predicting when the customers are churning, possibly because we're communicating less. We're less prepared to understand when a customer is at the risk of churn. And also, if they churn, we don't know the answers to why they might have churned. Next, we're going to go through 3 ways here at SugarCRM we can help our customers get through that. So first, we're going to go through some of the details we provide for providing a good understanding of accounts and account management. We're going to show some of kind of the high definition CX, as we like to call it, basically the understanding of the product our customer has with us. And then third, we're going to go through the process of the actual renewals of our contract, understanding what's coming up for renewal and processing those opportunities. So I'm going to turn it back over to Dennis to go through the account management portion of this.
Awesome. Thanks, Christian. I think what's clear to us now, and especially in the last 12 months, is the way in which we interact with our customers and prospects has changed, probably forever. And we used to be able to get in front of our customer base, whether it be on-site visits or trade shows, but now you are remote. And when you're remote, outside of the rare Zoom meeting or something like that, you lose the ability to be a person inside of them. You become a commodity. And so if you're not actively watching how your customer is engaging with you, if you're not seeing visual indicators on that particular account, you run the risk that a competitor has slipped in behind you and it's eroded the ability for you to maintain that relationship. And so as we go through kind of some account management techniques, again, that HD vision that Sugar helps us provide, to be able to land on a single screen that we can see multiple things, right? We're all doing multiple things throughout the day. So be able to land on an account record and get a visual perspective of what's going on. Don't make me enter data or search, but draw my attention to, in this case, some active subscriptions. What open opportunities do we have? Are there any support cases or things like that that we're managing? And inside of that, being able to deploy, in this instance, SugarServe, so that we're tracking any type of customer service engagements. One of the biggest jeopardies of an existing account is data silos. My service team is working with the customer, my finance team is working with the customer, my sales team is working with the customer. But how do each one of those know what the left hand or right hand is doing? And if you have unresolved customer issues inside of that, then you don't have the ability to service that particular account while you're working with them. So being able to see service interactions at the time of support maintenance is key to account management. Another great indicator is how is the contact at the account interacting with your marketing team. And here we'll see in our lower left-hand score, we see our Sugar Market Score. So we can dynamically change the way that we nurture or interact with our contacts at our accounts based on their behavior. Are they going to a webinar? Did they attend sessions like this today? Should we serve additional content to them? And if we are serving that content, are they digesting that content? So we can see what contacts we have at what accounts that are interacting with us and are digesting our content. And then ultimately on the next slide, we'll see how does that roll up? How do we see that across an entire account? Individual touch points. Are they opening emails? Again, are they attending webinars? Are they going to landing pages? Are they taking training? So the ability to kind of see that interaction in my top left-hand score, ultimately see the ultimate score of that user. This is as effective for my existing customers and contacts as it is for my prospects to see where we are in the sales cycle. Where do I think I am in that sales cycle? And where is the prospect telling me? If somebody tells me they're going to make a purchase, but they've never been to my website, I'm probably being sold a bill of goods. Ultimately, then roll that up to an engagement score. So all the contacts that I have at a particular location, we become complacent over time. It's just nature. We're always searching for that next sale, but sometimes we don't turn a good eye to our existing account base. And if I'm able to see kind of the waxing and waning of an engagement score of my particular accounts, I don't know where to draw my attention. So if I have worked with a group of contacts, and we'll take a look at this in a moment moving forward, but if I look at those contacts who I deal with in a pre-sale and a post-sale, it's usually a different group. And then it begins to fall off. I stop adding new people at a particular company. Those people don't receive any of our marketing automation. They don't receive any of our nurture campaigns. And ultimately, you'll see their engagement score begin to wane as they go through the deployment cycle. In order to keep current, in order to stay in front and prevent your competitors from stepping in, you want to make sure that that engagement score is continually growing, or at the very least staying consistent. Take a little bit of a look into what I think is one of the most telling relationships inside of an account, which today is really email, right? So being able to take a look at email volume month over month, is it pitched in any one direction? And here we're taking a look at relationship analytics between my team and the account. So at the very least, I should be able to see synchronous receive response from the inbound and the outbound. What is the account sending to us? What are we sending back to them? Inside of a large account, you can see the numbers here, some 1,200 emails a month. You're not going to read each and every one of those. You sure as heck do not want to be carbon copied on everyone in and out. And you may not have the time to go see all these particular emails of your team communicating with the account. Here I can see visually, are we on track? Are we close in range to our inbound and our outbound? And if I see something askew here, I can immediately make a decision to push in and get more detail. Who from inside my organization is dealing with who on the other side? So on my right-hand side, I would have an idea of all of my users. On the left-hand side, I would see all the people there and who has the relationship with a particular person. So being able to see by the size of the person circle, in this case, Roy Grubbs, having the best relationship with Morgan Sadowski. The colors around those particular indicators show me people that have a stopped relationship. They no longer communicate with that particular account, which is okay as long as they're going through some transition, perhaps from deployment to service, service to customer maintenance. All those things are important to see and visualize, but to be able to know at any time what they're doing is super helpful inside of the account management profile. You'll hear it early and often in the HDX framework from Sugar's perspective, low touch, being able to see who from my team is emailing somebody at that particular account that is not a contact there. From a Sugar BPM side, being able to use our business process automation tool to automate common function. On my left-hand side, see a simple workflow that's just saying, is there been no contact in 2 weeks? Schedule a follow-up task for me. So a simple rule to say every 2 weeks for these type of accounts, I want to make sure that there's some call scheduled for me. When I log into Sugar, I'm immediately presented with a list of people I should call. We're letting the platform do the work, right? We're not scheduling activities. I'm not scheduling a follow-up. I'm simply saying this type of account needs a touch point ever X number of days. And to be able to see that information, have Sugar do the work for me, I just need to react with the information that's been surfaced. On the right side, we can see kind of the Wonka vision of how complex these types of workflows can be. Keep in mind, they can do things like call other workflows, send documents, trigger reports, escalate SLAs. So we can start simple and graduate to a more complex maintenance routine. And then ultimately the ability to reach out across several social, news, and business sources to show me interesting things that I may want to discuss when I get in touch with the record. So be able to crawl news slides, financial slides, any announcements that are coming from the company directly using our hint tool to start that conversation. One of the things, a cornerstone to everything we do here is to be of service, to be of value inside of the interaction. To call on your accounts and ask them how many more widgets they want to buy today is not really the communication we're looking to do. But if we're able to, in context, mention things that are happening around the companies, things that they're promoting, whether it be into social sites or in the newswire itself, deliver that to me inside of my Sugar experience. Don't make me go out of that and swivel to see it in multiple locations. I'm going to turn it back over to Chris and realize that I probably took 3/4 of the webinar to go through account management, Chris. So I cut you a little short there. But just kind of talk a little bit away. How do we manage churn? How do we know what's happening with our base and predictably keep them with us?
Yeah, thanks, Dennis. And I wanted to ask you a question. You deal with a lot of sales organizations as you present Sugar tools to them. When you reach into kind of account management organizations, do you see companies separate the account management function from, say, the new logo business, or do sales reps kind of do both? Do they find new customers and maintain the old ones?
I think the answer is usually vertical specific. Or from or stylistically. I think here inside of Sugar we have our new logo team who then turns it over to our account management and customer service management teams, our CSMs. But depending on the sale, you might want to choose to leave the salesperson on the account or the account executive on the account for a specific period in the transition, but also having a dedicated CSM team allows them to concentrate just on the account focus. So in my opinion, allowing new logo to stay on new logo acquisition and going after new hunting customers is what I would prefer. In maybe a more service oriented industry, health, et cetera, having one person of contact from beginning to end, maybe more. But I think ultimately it's every customer's choice, including the ability to rotate that, right? Shake it up a little bit instead of having one CSM for life, where they might become a little tone deaf to all the conversations, shake up the particular accounts every quarter or every 6 months or so.
Yeah, that's good insight. We get that question a lot, so it's kind of interesting to just hear it discussed a little bit. Okay, so one of the key themes that we're speaking about here at SugarCRM is kind of high definition customer experience. And what I'm going to speak about now is how we add on to traditional account management by going through how do we have a little bit more insight as to the product purchase history of our customers. So this is new in Sugar Sell over the last few months, where we've added new capability of managing our customer purchases. We noticed that a lot of our customers over time would configure Sugar to track what the purchase history was on their account record. So we figured we might as well put that in as a capability of the product itself. So what you'll see here is that we have the ability to put in a purchase, which in a sense is a contract. As it comes to churn and recurring revenue, a purchase is a contract. It will typically have a unit price, extended price, discounts. They'll have the start and end date of the contract. And we'll also keep track of, is it an automatically renewable contract or not? If you look at the kind of the blue square there, we also have a couple of line items on the contract. So we might have specific products all on a 24-month contract like we're showing in this example, but we're having that detailed account purchase history right inside of Sugar Sell. So once we have that, once we know that we've started contract relationships, we bring in our Sugar Market capability to communicate with those customers that have those product relationships. Often marketing automation is used for acquiring new customers and with web advertising and leads to our website and all that. But another really important function for marketing automation is to communicate with our existing customers. So here, for instance, what we're showing off is the ability to create nurture sequences. So ideally, you want to create nurture sequences that run the full length of a contract. So if you have a 1-year or a 2-year contract, you're going to want to have a sequence of communication that spans that whole term, so that in different checkpoints of the contract lifecycle, that you're checking in with your customer, making sure they're utilizing it properly, that they know capabilities of the product, that they have opportunities to provide you with feedback. Those are all things that you want to do at certain points in the lifecycle. And the nurture campaign functionality of Sugar Market is really ideal to that. Since our two products, SugarCell and Sugar Market, work so closely together, they have that ability to do a handoff of start a market nurture campaign when an account adds a product. And that allows a sales team and a marketing organization to kind of orchestrate a full customer experience. Another thing that we've been working on is when we added in our product tracking capability, we realized that what happens over time is that a contract doesn't stay the same for the course of a year or 2 years. Sometimes there's modifications to it. And we don't want to add a whole new contract. We want to maintain a history. So we added the ability to create an add-on to a contract where we can add new units or subtract units and have the whole contract relationship and even the renewal opportunity reflect that, so that we just maintain a contract over time. And as you can see on this next screen, you're going to basically be able to maintain a history of that as well. So for instance, here you'll see a purchase history dashlet that we're adding to every account, where an account manager could quickly see the sequence of the contract relationship. They could see exactly on what date they added or subtracted licenses, if it was, for instance, a SaaS product or a kind of volume contract. You can maintain that over time and quickly get insight into the purchase history, and also drill down into the line items and the contracts on there.
I think one thing there, Chris, is the ability to use kind of BPAM and showing kind of where is an account heading, right? If they're continually waning off or losing products, you're probably sharing a percentage of that customer with somebody else, and you have the ability to kind of get in front of that.
Yeah, no, when you combine Sugar's features, so in this case, the tracking the detailed purchase history, the additions and changes to the contract, with business rules that can send out alerts to product teams and account managers proactively in response to what's happening, gives you a lot of tools to kind of get ahead of that churn, which was the premise of this webinar.
And I think to that point, as we go forward to the next section here, really talking about how do we predict, right? How do we see what's going on and let the platform do the work and draw it to our attention, as opposed to waiting for somebody to say, we're not going to renew or we're dropping your service. And one way to really help do that is to work inside of your pipeline. And so working with pipeline, as we use a term at Sugar, pipeline saves lives, right? The ability to maintain that your existing customers that are far less expensive to do business with than new ones, to manage that pipeline differently, right? To continue to try to expand your reach inside of your customer base. So we'll take a look at 3 ways to do that now. So really the ability to track a renewal, and I think inside of any service contract, whether it be the number of hours or a particular product or some type of reoccurring revenue that you're working with, waiting to the end date, waiting to the 30 days before that renewal period to actually start engaging in servicing is way too long. A particular account and see what active products they're consuming. Are they in a maintenance period or deployment period? Are they working towards a particular goal? To make sure that you have access to all the information around that particular account, you can see here in one view, the active subscriptions, any comments, any interactions that are going on. So that surfaced to me way before that particular renewal takes place, that I have an idea that might be some risk to this particular account. The ability to auto-create. Again, as we mature, let's stop being data entry clerks. Let's stop requiring our salespeople to create opportunities manually, to be able to automatically trigger a particular engagement as renewable and let Sugar recreate that opportunity at the appropriate time so that it enters my pipeline well before my planning stages. So again, configured, whether it be a service contract or an actual license, to be able to check that off and make it renewable directly from the opportunity line item. And then ultimately being able to add additional products, right? So as Christian said earlier, from any given contract in the year, let me add value to that particular contract by extending different products that we might have to offer alongside. As percentage of customer grows, your stickiness inside of that account clearly goes with it. And so if you have a good relationship with a particular account and they're getting value from the offerings that you have, they should be taken care of and have other ancillary products that fit along that suite. But we don't want those as standalones, right? We don't want a separate opportunity that's created outside and maybe tracked differently. When I want to see the total value of a customer, I need the ability to see inside of any account base, what is my total purchase line item? So let me allow it to add those line items to an existing account. And then again, automatically trigger the creation of the renewal itself. So being able to enter a particular product line, but then ultimately be able to trigger the renewal creation so that my future looking pipe is automatically maintained for me. I'm not working off Excel sheets. I'm using the power of the platform to have it drive myself into what I should be looking at in any upcoming quarter. And then as we begin to mature more and more, again, the plausibility of AI, being able to analyze the actual opportunity that you're working on to see its likelihood to close. And so what we're using is driving factors of stage of the opportunity, the level of activity or communication around that op, general attributes of the company, the size and scale, what's going on in that space, and then ultimately the probability to let the user know what opportunities are more likely to close for this particular account. Again, concentrating your energies on things that you've already had success with and applying them to future activities with new accounts. Super powerful. All right, excellent. So Sarah, turn it back to you.
Sure. So just to kind of wrap things up, if you did want to learn more about the CRM and sales impact report that we mentioned in the beginning, you can go through and download the report at the following link, and we'll also be sending out these slides as well. So at this point, I'll open up to Q&A, and I'm going to start going through the questions. So the first one is, how do you manage auto renewals under GDPR constraints?
So GDPR manages kind of the information we track about our customers and how we communicate with them. So it's really the key thing for complying with GDPR is to make sure we have proper permissions. If we're talking about an auto renewal, we have a customer relationship. So we have some implicit permissions for doing transactional emails with you under GDPR. So usually, that's enough to satisfy that. But ideally, if you're subject to GDPR, the auto renewal process and any other communication process is something that probably your legal team needs to sign off on. I am not a GDPR lawyer, but usually that's where we see it happen. It's under the transactional email permissions in your customer relationship.
And somebody asked, I noticed you spoke about 3 different solutions. Are they integrated out of the box?
Yes, all 3, Sugar Market, Sell and Serve, are integrated out of the box.
And how long has this been available? I'm assuming they're referring to the different solutions, and are they available now?
So the Sugar Market product came to us as an acquisition about 18 months ago. So it's about 18 months old. We purchased a product called Sales Fusion that we rebranded to Sugar Market, and it already had really good integration between Sugar Sell and Sales Fusion product. And so that served us really well, and we've continued to add to that, adding capability, adding integration points. So a goal to have a seamless kind of marketing to sales experience there. And then Sell and Serve is our cloud-based versions of what traditionally was our Sugar Enterprise product. But since we're adding a lot of cloud-based functionality on top of our AWS platform, we're going much further into the customer service realm than we did before. We decided to split this up into 2 different product lines, Sugar Sell and Sugar Serve.
And another question, where can I learn more about the research report that you spoke about earlier? So great question. The easiest place to find that report would be by going directly to SugarCRM.com. And you'll notice there is an orange banner at the top that you could click on to quickly take you to access the research report. So those are all of the questions that I've seen come in for today. I wanted to take a moment to thank everyone for attending the webinar. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Dennis, for hosting this with me. And have a good rest of your day.